Joining us on the Western Hotline, senior reporter and host of Patriots Catch-22 at Patriots.com, Evan Lazar joins us. Evan, Jeremy, and Joe, good morning. Mack Hollins among those free agent signings for the Patriots this year.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat, huh, guys?
Oh, my God.
I really enjoyed his press conference, sincerely. I thought it was one of the most unique press conferences that I've ever seen. You know, he walks right up there on the podium with no shoes on and gets right to it and is just genuinely himself the whole time. So it'd be interesting. I think the Patriots, from their perspective, they kind of needed a culture change in that wide receiver room. Last year it got a little messy at that position in particular, and so I think they're hoping that a different personality like Mack Hollins, an experienced personality, can come in there and be a little bit of a culture shock to what's in there right now.
Culture shock for sure. I mean, check out his TikTok, and it's just like daily home improvement videos, and then he's showing up to the games in Muppet costumes. Like opening press conference, you can't believe it's gonna get even stranger from there, but it definitely does with him.
Yeah, and like I said, last year that room had a lot of issues on and off the field, and nothing too nefarious off the field, but just with the media and with some of the social media posts and cryptic posts on social and things like that, that I think that they're trying to make that room a little bit more mature, I guess is the word, and I think that they're hoping in some ways that Mack Hollins is veteran experience and his mentorship and all those types of things will help just as much as his play on the field will help. But he had a nice season for Buffalo last year, and he had a really productive year with Josh McDaniels in Vegas a couple of years ago. So I think they are also hoping that he's going to contribute on the field as well.
Evan, with regard to that idea of a culture change, how much is that the big headline for Mike Vrabel coming back home, right? He takes the job, and there are pieces in place. Is optimism high in New England? How big is the job for Vrabel?
We're getting there. I would say that the biggest thing right now is after the dust settled from the initial spending spree that they had on the first day of the negotiation period. They've done a nice job with the defense. They have rebuilt a defense that don't overlook how bad the defense was last year, as well as the offense. 30th in the league in DVOA, 21st in points allowed. They were not good situationally. Third down, red zone. They had a long way to go, and the word I would use is they needed a facelift on defense as much as they needed one on offense. So his first order of business was to put the defense back in order, which I don't think is too shocking given his background on the defensive side of the ball and likely wanting that to be the strength of the team. And so you go ahead, you add some defensive guys, some really big money guys like Milton Williams and Carlton Davis to play outside corner, and Robert Spillane to play inside linebacker, and Harold Landry comes back and reunites with Vrabel to play on the edge of the defense. So they went out and signed 4 or 5 starters on that side of the ball and really revamped what they're going to be identity-wise as a defense, as more of an up-the-field, attack-minded defense. Now, with all that, those flowers for what they did on that side of the ball, I think some of that's starting to wear off here a little bit because of the lack of offensive additions. Mack Hollins is a nice piece, but he's obviously not a number one receiver. They still don't have a left side of the offensive line at left tackle or left guard. They just released their longtime center in David Andrews. So they have a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the football, and that's where all of the attention is now, is what's going on with the offense and why the lack of moves on that side of the ball.
Right. Is it not for a lack of trying, Evan? Because there was the stuff we read about Chris Godwin and maybe the money they offered him, but I think back years, Ayuk and plenty of names where, I don't know, I feel like I always see New England, even going back to Belichick, in on some big-name receiver, and they just never seem to end up getting the guy to come there.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. There's not a lack of trying. I think they've been in on pretty much every single big-name receiver that's hit the trade or free agent market for 2 straight years, whether that's Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp, right? They've been in on every single guy. And right now, I think what the biggest issue is for the Patriots is they don't really have proof of concept on the offensive side of the ball that they're going to be able to put a good passing offense out on the field. And there's a lot of optimism league-wide about Drake May. I think that's really their biggest draw right now. But until they go out and have in the comp that I've been using a lot is that 2019 Bills season, right, where they go 10-6 with Josh Allen and make the playoffs and show a proof of concept that they're going to be turning things around in Buffalo. And the next year they go out and get Stephon Diggs. So the Patriots might be a year away from that splash move at wide receiver, which means that they're probably going to have to at least upgrade the position a little bit in the draft to give Drake May a chance to have that kind of year. But I think that's where we're at right now is go out there this year, be more competitive, be closer to a 500 football team, put an offense out there that people can respect and people will want to play in. And then in 2026, maybe you can go out there and land your big fish.
Evan Lazar on the Patriots here. Who's the favorite at the 4 overall pick?
I would say right now that everyone's just crossing their fingers that Travis Hunter is going to be there at 4 overall. I don't know if that's going to happen. Obviously, you need 2 quarterbacks to go in the top 3, and Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders to make that happen. But I just mentioned wide receiver as this glaring need on this team, and I think there's a lot of support around the league for Travis Hunter potentially playing more wide receiver than maybe some expected him to play. So if he comes in here, and I would expect him to play a lot of wide receiver for New England, I would think that that's where they're going to want to start him at least, and then maybe transition him to more of a 2-way role. But if it's not Travis Hunter, that's when it gets extremely interesting. I think there's 4 or 5 guys that you can make a really interesting case for, but the one that I keep coming back to is how glaring a need their offensive line is, especially at the left tackle position. But really all 3 spots I mentioned earlier on the offensive line need filling. So whether it's Will Campbell, whether it's Armand Membu, one of those 2 guys at the top of the draft to pencil in there at left tackle, I think is a safe second bet if Hunter is no longer there.
If Hunter is there, I think I've seen Vrabel talk about this already a little bit, is because he played a little bit of both sides of the ball in his NFL career, is there a belief that even if it's only certain packages that he would let Hunter or want Hunter more so to be involved on both sides?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think one of the favorite, in the short time that I've gotten to know Vrabel a little bit, one of his favorite things to do is to brag about the touchdowns that he caught from Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think he does that more than he talks about any sack or any pass breakup or any tackle that he's had in his career, is talk about 10 for 10, right? 10 catches, 10 touchdowns. Playing in that goal line tight end package. So it's a little different when you go on the field for one play at a time like Vrabel did. And I don't know if that's exactly what they would have in mind for Travis Hunter, but I just know being at the Combine and talking to them, Elliot Wolf, their head personnel chief, EVP of player personnel is his technical title. And he told us that they actually wrote up 2 different scouting reports for Travis Hunter, one as a wide receiver and one as a cornerback. And there's a lot of reporting that they see Travis Hunter as the best wide receiver and the best cornerback in the NFL draft. So again, I think their need at wide receiver is so glaring, and their need for just infusion of playmaking on the offensive side of the ball is so glaring that with Christian Gonzalez and now Carlton Davis at corner on defense, they probably feel pretty good about their corner tandem. And I would expect that Travis Hunter, if drafted by the Patriots, would be drafted to primarily play wide receiver.
All right. Evan Lazar on the Patriots, Patriots.com. Evan, thanks so much.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah, we'll talk again in the future.